Today I'd like to give you a quick look at the very first parts of CGLIMS that are now in production. As a project, CGLIMS has been underway for a few years, but today I want to focus on the work that was done by the development team in the first 6 months of this year. Now we know CGLIMS is a technology refresh of LIMS to meet the enterprise requirements that are spelled out in the ORD, the Operational Requirements document, with a commercial off-the-shelf tool. Between March and June this year, the development team completed work needed to establish the Oracle Enterprise Business Suite environments and complete the first 8 ORD requirements. Now, part of the Agile methodology is to translate ORD requirements into user stories. Then the team prioritizes those requirements into 2-week sprints. For the first release, we held ourselves to a ship date of no later than 30 June of this year. We held the schedule fixed and prioritized the requirements that could be completed in that time box. We completed the first release in 3 sprints. At the heart of the Coast Guard business model is having a known configuration of our assets so we can then support those assets to accomplish Coast Guard missions. The first release takes the very first step toward configuration management. We provide the ability to create the master configuration for an asset. You can think of the master configuration as a logical representation of the configuration that will then be used to create physical instantiations that Oracle calls a unit configuration. And now we'll log into the production environment. We're connecting directly to the production servers that are on the data floor at OSC. So the speed that you see is the speed that anybody would see. And I noticed that it opened up to, with the menu, opened up to the same place that I was just a little bit earlier this morning as I was setting this up. So let me go ahead and collapse this down to what somebody would see who is logging in for the first time. Not going to walk through all of this. I just want to show you the end result of the work that was done by the folks after creating all of the master records that are required, the things that Oracle calls flex fields, some of the master data that's required, some of the lookup lists, some of the basics on the financial system. Before doing anything within the Oracle e-Business Suite, you've got to make some assumptions about what the future accounting structure is going to be. So we worked with the FinCEN to make sure that was right. But today I just want to show you what the master configuration looks like after all of that groundwork was done. And so we'll go into the master configuration. I'll click on Overview. And the name, we know that everything starts with HC144 right now. The percent symbol is the wild card in Oracle, so I'll just type in HC144 with a percent sign. And then let's just go ahead into the aircraft, and we'll see the structure going down from the aircraft. You can see the airframe, the propellers and engines, and the avionics. We'll just drill into the airframe, and I'll just pick as for instance, a condenser unit. So this is, again, the master configuration. It's the logical representation of the HC144, and that's going to be used to build the individual configurations of actual aircraft. And if we go into the avionics, some of these parts may look familiar to somebody supporting other kinds of aircraft. So I think that's where we'll leave it for now. Again, this first release is simply the master configuration that's in CGLIMS, and the user community is right now 3 people who would conceivably be maintaining that master configuration. It does not change very much, but as it changes, CGLIMS will be updated at the same time that ACMS is updated. So for now, it's by entering data in both systems that will have both CGLIMS and ACMS have the same master configuration data. We realize that as we go forward, Having people put data into both systems isn't a good long-term answer, but right now, for the very limited amount of change that happens to that data, we're keeping it up to date, and we're working hard to plan out how we're going to implement the next big part of Oracle Business Suite in the next release, so that we're not in a position that people have to put things into two systems in the long term. So for now, that's your very high-level look at Release 1 of CGLIMS. Have a great day, everybody.